parent's investment, but BOA has incurred the investment, and BOA's investment is 320, and strictly speaking, I don't want 320. The reason I don't want 320 is because I am Mini, and it is my vehicle, it is my subsidiary of BOA that has bought the investment. So I don't want 320. I'm going to charge some of that to the NCI in BOA. I'm going to charge 30%. I only want 70%. I'm only responsible for 70%. But instead of picking up 70% of 320, let me take away the indirect, let me take away the element that which belongs to the NCI. 10% will be 32, so 30% will be 96. Now that 96 is a double entry to NCI. That 96, I am charging the NCI of BOA with that 96. I have credited the investment. If you believe in double entry, you're crediting the investment and you're debiting the NCI. So there is a negative of 96, which has come from working 8. So this is the indirect adjustment on the goodwill as we charge the NCI with their share. Very technical. But actually it's all right. NCI is at, yeah, is that okay? NCI is at fair value. 20%, 30% or 44%? Which number is the relevant number? 20%, 30% or 44%? 44%. So the opening balance of the NCI is 161. You make a decision. If you make the wrong decision, you make the wrong decision. But just make that decision quickly. There is TMI, too much information. Yeah? So what have we got? We've got an opening balance of 161 in my NCI. Yeah? So if that's what you've put in your goodwill, that's what you put in your opening balance of NCI. Again, if you're going to be wrong, be consistently wrong. Follow through. Yeah? Follow through. Commit. Fair value of the net assets at the date of acquisition. Well, that presumably is something we've just been playing with here, which is 362. So back I go, back I go, back I go. That is 362. We put these numbers in the mill, we put these numbers in the calculator, and out spits a full goodwill calculation. 320 minus plus minus. I'm assuming it's a positive figure, a premium, and is how much? 23. Oh, not very much. If that was negative, it would be a discount. If that was negative, it would be a profit. If that was negative, I would take it to retained earnings. There seems to be an impairment loss because of note number 3. There seems to be an impairment loss because of note number 3. That impairment loss will be split. Working 5, retained earnings 56%. Working 4, NCI 44%. And then we'll have our year-end figures for goodwill. And let me just pause. That took 15 minutes. Nearly 15 minutes. I've still got the impairment review to sort out. I'm still a little bit ahead, but I've got the impairment review to sort out. I think that falls within the half-hour budget. Because the impairment information could have been given as part of paragraph 1, paragraph 2, but whatever. Yeah? And some of you might have gone on to do the... Anyway, whatever. I am here now. I have still got some time to sort out the impairment. But before we sort out the impairment, are we okay so far? So far, so good. Now, we covered impairment last night, so I feel I can dive into this straight away. NCI is at fair value, so there's no stupid grossing up. NCI is at fair value, so goodwill is in full, so the impairment loss will be split. So there is no need for any stupid grossing up, and that saves me a bit of grief. Both BOA and Heaney were impairment reviewed at the year end. The recoverable amount of both CGUs are 1425 and 604. The directors of Mini consider the impairment of assets due to the poor performance of intangibles, and the recoverable amount has been determined without consideration for the liabilities. Let's do BOA first. So the carrying value is the CGU, which is the subsidiary. I am BOA. I have year-end net assets. I am BOA. I have year-end net assets of 968. I am BOA. I have year-end net assets of 968. I am BOA. I have full goodwill of 190. Bear with, this is 8, this is 7, this is 1178. I then have a recoverable amount, and the recoverable amount is 1425. How much is my impairment loss? How much is my impairment loss? Nil. Right, time out for a second, please. I've got the right answer, which is nil. First of all, I really want you to understand that the answer is nil, because you can recover 14 when the carrying value is 11. However, I've done something wrong. And the full goodwill is correct. It's not about grossing up the goodwill. Now, this question has a very peculiar language to it. And maybe I don't fully understand it, and maybe I've just ignored it, and maybe I've just got on and done my normal thing, and that's okay, because that's quick. But technically, I have done something wrong, and as a tutor, I don't like doing things technically wrong. What have I ignored? Yeah, there's a very peculiar phrase in the question. The recoverable amount has been determined without the consideration for the liabilities. So this recoverable amount here, this is assets only. You're only selling the assets. Now this is net assets. So this is assets minus liabilities. So what I want to have is that number to be assets only. Now there are two different ways of arriving at what the assets only are. You know, one way of arriving at what the net assets are would be to take the 1,130. If you look at BOA's balance sheet, the assets are 1,130. But those assets are subject to a fair value adjustment, and that fair value adjustment is 89. So therefore this is 9, 1, this is 2, that is 1219. So that would be, another way of looking, but it's not going to change the answer. The other way of arriving at that 1219, is to take your 968 and to add back the liabilities that have been deducted. So if you add back the liabilities of 123, if you add back the liabilities of 123, and you add back the liabilities of 128, yeah, you add back the liabilities, you should also get to the same number of 1219. Because that number of 968 is your net assets. So if you add back the liabilities that are in the balance sheet of BOA of 123 and 128, oh my God, I've overcomplicated it. What a stupid waste of time, because the answer's nil whatever you do. So can we move on? Yeah? Fine. Yeah, I'm happy to move on. So we do, yeah, so for BOA, bit of a waste of time there. Sorry for doing that. Sorry for doing that. Your year-end goodwill is 190. I mean, that's it. There's no impairment loss. Disconcerting in the exam, I think, disconcerting in the exam to do an impairment review and for there to be no impairment loss. So presumably there will be an impairment loss in respect of Heaney. Frustratingly, there will only be an impairment loss of Heaney if you get the net asset figure to be gross assets. So for Heaney, once again, we're doing the impairment review. Yeah, once again, the carrying value is the CGU, is the sub. And for Heaney, we may have year-end net assets given to us. So for Heaney, we may have year-end net assets given to us. So for Heaney, we may have year-end net assets given to us at 400. But if we add back the liabilities, of 93 and 138, we would therefore get a figure of 631. Or if we wanted to take our total assets, and we wanted to take our total assets of 595 and then add the fair value adjustment of 36, we would then get 631. I don't mind how you cope, but what we're looking at here is our assets only. This is a one-off, guys. This is a one-off because in this particular question, he tells me the recoverable amount is without consideration of the liabilities. It's a one-off because in this particular question, he tells me the recoverable amount is without consideration for the liabilities. The gross goodwill of Heaney is already determined, and that is 23. So this is therefore 654. Then we have our recoverable amount. How much is our recoverable amount? 604. Hallelujah. Nice round figure, must be correct. I actually get an impairment loss. But you know, or some of you know, that if you don't do this stupid, unique adjustment, you think the impairment loss is nil. And do you know what? That's probably the best thing that can happen to you, because you're throwing away, what, 1 mark, 2 marks, but it kind of saves you 5 minutes or 10 minutes of headache. So actually, it's not a bad mistake to make. This is my impairment loss. Now, hang on a minute. Having got this far, I have a problem. And this problem, again, takes a little bit of explaining. Because the impairment loss is bigger than the goodwill. The impairment loss is bigger than the goodwill. So, look, all of the goodwill goes. All of the goodwill goes. All of the goodwill goes. But I don't understand. So maybe I give up. maybe I read the question one last time to see whether there's any inspiration or guidance within the question as to the nature of the impairment loss. If there is, there is. If there isn't, I just think, oh, maybe I've made a mistake, I just need to move on. The directors mini feel the impairment loss is down to the poor performance of intangible assets. So what is going to happen with